Simplify each radical expression. A. Radical 20 over 45. This is a fraction inside of a radical, so let's first see if we can reduce the inside. So this is the square root of 20 and 45 are both divisible by 5. So we can reduce by dividing by 5, and we're left with 4/9. This is the same thing as the square root of 4 over square root of 9. And each of those is a perfect square. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. B. Radical 5 over the square root of 3 plus 2. We have two terms in the denominator, so to get rid of this problem, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom both by the conjugate of the denominator. So we're going to multiply by radical 3 minus 2 in both the top and the bottom. If we distribute through the numerator, radical 5 times radical 3 is radical 15. And then radical 5 times negative 2 is a negative 2 radical 5. Now in the denominator, we've got to be a little bit careful. So radical 3 will distribute to both terms. So radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9. Radical 3 times negative 2 is minus 2 radical 3. Then we distribute 2 to both terms. So 2 times radical 3 is plus 2 radical 3. And then 2 times negative 2 is minus 4. Now in the denominator, I see that we can do a few things. First, we can combine like terms. Minus 2 radical 3 plus 2 radical 3 will cancel. Then the square root of 9, we can simplify that to just 3. So this becomes radical 15 minus 2 radical 5 over 3 minus 4. And 3 subtract 4 is negative 1. And if we divide this out, radical 15 divided by negative 1 is negative radical 15. And minus 2 radical 5 divided by negative 1 is plus 2 radical 5. C. 2 minus radical 3 over negative 5 plus radical 2. Again, because the denominator has two terms, we're going to fix this by multiplying by the conjugate of the denominator. So we're going to multiply by negative 5 minus radical 2. Multiply that, whatever you do to the bottom, do the same thing to the top. And now we'll distribute this through. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. 2 times negative radical 2 is negative 2 radical 2. So the 2 is taken care of. Now we go on to the minus radical 3 and distribute that to both terms. So minus radical 3 times minus 5 is positive 5 radical 3. And then negative radical 3 times negative radical 2 is positive radical 6. Now for the denominator. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Negative 5 times negative radical 2 is plus 5 radical 2. Next up, radical 2 times negative 5 is negative 5 radical 2. Radical 2 times negative radical 2 is negative radical 4. So next up in the denominator, I see that we have like terms here. We can combine and actually cancel those out. And then next up, the square root of 4 is 2. So on top, we've got negative 10 minus 2 radical 2 plus 5 radical 3 plus radical 6. And on the bottom, we've got 25 minus 2. And now we can combine like terms in the denominator to give us just 23. And there's nothing we can really do on top, so we're just going to bring this along for the ride. Negative 10 minus 2 radical 2 plus 5 radical 3 plus radical 6 all over 23.